Blaze taught me? Blaze actually, yeah, it was driveways. Because a lot of driveways are right next to the house in different parts of Cleveland. You don't have a stretch of land or anything, and some of them,
Yeah.
if the driveway, there's a perfect example, there's a new listing over across the street from one of my listings, we went and saw it, and the driveway is tilted towards, is leaning towards the house. Well, you go down in the basement, so it's just got snow and ice sitting there right now, and it's all melting. You go down in the basement, huge crack across the entire side of the basement, and the wall is actually starting to tilt a little bit, it's starting to move. Probably because it's been, well, now winter, melting, freezing,
Right.
melting, freezing, so you got all
And
that
pressure.
expansion. And you can actually see where they, it looks like they tried to brace it with a couple, maybe 2x4s. And
So
those-
is
those
this
were
like the
already-
picture that we have in our
Those are already off of
slideshow?
the wall, a little bit, it reminded me of that, it reminded me of that, because you got every different, you got black, gray, kind of different colors coming up the wall, and then this 2x4 where the wall is just, it's just about a half inch away from it right now, so it's not, yeah, it's starting to move, it's just, or the
So
2x4 sitting like this. and the
Christina
wall's
is
moving
currently
around.
working with investors, so of course, they're
But-
looking for flips and.
But yeah, walking up a driveway with
Investors
Blaze
are
and looking at
different.
that.
Period.
I feel,
Just-
they know,
different.
you know, they know that it's not going to be perfect. They, I mean, I feel like when they're looking at certain homes, they expect to put money into it, whereas buyers are like, well, I have a $115,000 budget, but I want a new build in Avon that's 2,300 square feet.
I never
That
heard that.
doesn't
Welcome to
mesh
our
well. You know, you cannot get, you know, what you want for that. Investors, I feel like they know when something is not right and they're going to have to put money in, so
Yeah.
it's a little different, plus they probably have experience, they flipped a couple of houses, but for you to know, maybe not, these guys, are they
They're
brand new?
brand new.
Okay, so,
Yeah, wow,
They're
they're
great.
they're
you and the
reinventing
new
real estate.
investors, great
Yeah,
learning
We've
experience.
been going round and round with her more than me,
Yeah.
but you know, when things get loose. Mark, what do I do about this?
That'll
What?
teach you, that'll teach you, when things get rough like that, that's
That
when
is-
you remember what went wrong and what went right. I would say in the basement, like Mark said, the smell, the condition overall, and then of course, it doesn't necessarily mean that the house is collapsing. It could be that there's a problem that's relatively small, like replacing, you know, the broken gutters, you know, addressing the issues on outside with the landscaping, that could rectify that. But you at least know, if you come in and it smells and it's discolored and there's some water in the corner, there's something that's going to need to be fixed, like pretty much immediately. Something needs to be rectified. What level that is, the inspector would be able to give you more information, or, you know, having a structural engineer. All of that can be done, but at least you know, okay, this condition means something's gonna have to be done.
Okay.
If you come in and it smells pretty good, you see that they have, you know, maybe a dehumidifier, they see that they have windows that can open and close, everything looks pretty dry. You know, there's no major cracks on the basement floor, the beams look pretty much intact, you don't see any deterioration and discolorment, then you know, like, it's a solid condition.
Right, okay. Yeah, this house, it was a 1900 build and it has had no, like, I mean, it's just,
Yeah,
And probably bring a flashlight and go in the basement after that.
I'm like told
Yeah.
that, Brad.
Just, it's a safety measure, I would say. I mean,
Don't give me
you
the
don't
gear to
know
watch
what
that.
people do well.
yeah, this is a good friend of mine.
Oh, I know, I
Yeah.
and
To
it's
keep
so
it on,
hard, I
it's
mean,
nice.
you know, so your roof, your foundation, and that goes for interior and exterior. So your foundation, you mean outside, you're scoping out the place,
Yeah.
interior is your basement.
Oh, really
Um,
nasty.
And then your electrical and your plumbing. Electrical, really for you, if you're not testing outlets and you're not testing components, it would be looking at the electrical panel. How does the wiring look, if you can see anything? Obviously, you may not be taking off the panel, but you're talking about the wiring going out, your conduit. What kind of condition does that look like? And then the wiring throughout, if you can see it in the basement at all.
Call these.
CVs are
That's
different
exactly what it
always.
is.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it's like Amy had the inspection, it was like most of half of the house or something was run on extension cords.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Underneath the sink.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was like, no, we found where they're doing the electrical out of.
Mhm.
There was an extension cord with a box on it or whatever coming out of going everywhere.
Pretty sure she said it was like running the neighbor's house too. One of them was or something.
Oh my god.
Oh, it's like nothing we've ever seen before.
It was all
Can you guys,
extension
can
cord.
we get some pictures so that we can use them
she
for our
has 'em.
class?
I'll tell you,
Amy
she-
has 'em.
Amy has them, she's doing, like I said, she's doing jury duty, but like, she called me and I was like, okay, very funny. Now tell me what's really going on. She's like, no. I'm not kidding. The extension cord is running under the dishwasher and it's leaking. I was like, wow. Remember?
See that right there, that's a no-no, okay? That may be where you wanna say, we're gonna have this evaluated, let's call somebody right now.
Right away, sure.
But the electrical, you really, if you're not taking off the panel and you're not, you know, running things, it's just going to be looking at the condition of the breaker box. You know, does it look like it's, you know, 60, 70, 80 years old? It's old. What do the wires look like? If you can see anything in the basement, check out the wires. You know, that's kind of what you're going to see just in the basement with the electrical panel, unless you do take off the panel.
Okay.
Depends on what you guys allow and where you're at, but typically they don't. But if it's an investor, I don't know what your rules are with that. But you're just gonna look at the overall condition of it. If it's knob and tube, have you seen what knob and tube looks like? It's an older box.
It's at my house. Do you want to come see it?
I actually have a picture I can show you.
I got some running from my house to the garage.
I have knob and tube in my
Oh.
house.
I have some, I can pull a
75%
picture for
of my
you, I'll show you.
Knob and they wrap the wire and go down.
And that's
It's
just,
going up and down.
And it isn't necessarily a deal breaker.
no,
Let's talk
no,
about
it
that for a
can,
second.
we've
Mike.
seen houses that have an updated electrical panel.
Yep. Yep.
And they use knob and tube, and it's fine, it's basically a 2-wire system versus now your updated 3. And a lot of times where people get scared is they think it's old, it's bad, that's not the case. Or a lot of times with the knob and tube, the breaker boxes are not designed to hold a lot of amperage. So when you have bigger families nowadays that have Xboxes and laptops and phone chargers, that's where they're looking at, well, is this going to be able to support what you're using the electric for in the home?
Gotcha.
And sometimes that's just your knowledge of is it an older couple that, you know, they're not gonna really be on the second floor much, they don't really need all of that, it would be fine for them. You have a family of 5 coming in, they may need to update and, you know, have some more amperage available.
Okay.
And I can show you that, I'll pull it out in a sec. So you can at least see when you're looking at a house,
What it looks like.
what it looks like, and it's not that it's bad. It's just people have the association of old and bad automatically, and that's not the case.
And I have a question. So have you guys done any inspections yet? Not yet? Have you? No?
I've been on, not through this, but in my past.
Okay. So when you guys have inspections, those of you over there, you know,
I'm putting in an offer tonight, so when she schedules her inspection, I'll make one of them come with me.
yeah, have them either come down.
Muscle you.
And just so you know, that part of the reason why you're on a team. So if there is an inspection, it's like a 3 or 4 hour gig.
Yes.
I know if you're doing an inspection for me, like I'll pay you to do it and sit through it. It's $50 an hour. It's nice. But then you're learning. And then we can go over that, but we need to kind of leverage you guys more into that so you can kind of gain some of this knowledge outside of what you're guys are selling yourself, so.
Yeah,
So
going,
Lay's, I'm getting paid $50 an
for
hour.
them to go to the CEs that they host are great because they always have pictures and
We
the
have one tomorrow.
explanation. Yeah, and there's one tomorrow for an hour.
Here.
Brendan's
I'm coming.
going.
And sign.
You going
I
to?
am too, yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely,
Tinted ones on
It's
what-
older homes tomorrow.
oh, perfect, there you go.
It'll have knob and tube in there too.
Oh, nice, okay, good.
But I'm still gonna show you.
That'd be
And-
informational.
Aren't most of them pretty much about kind of older things? Well, I think the 4 I've been to were older based.
Yeah, like our deal killers, it has a lot of older homes, because a lot of the deal killers come from an older home with, you know, foundation issues and old electrical.
So you said that, is it a CE tomorrow?
Yeah.
Here,
10
at
o'clock.
10 o'clock,
Yeah, I
so
want
10
to,
to
Okay.
11.
I gotta
Oh,
sign
right.
up, yeah, I gotta sign up for it.
Oh, you gotta sign up for it, huh?
Just so
You don't have to,
see
that's
2 days
fine.
in a row.
That's okay.
Yeah,
I'll make a
next
note
week.
that you're coming.
All right. I'll sign up for it official though.
How many do you need a year?
Yeah, this house that we went and saw in May, it's just,
And then I have my
yeah, it's
required,
kind
the
of what
10.
not to do with the listening.
It's 10 a year,
I mean, there's a bottle of Johnny
No,
Walker
first
sitting on the
You
counter.
get 30?
There's,
I mean, buy the house so you can get that.
there you go. Does Johnny Walker come with the house? All right.
Drink that and then buy the house.
And then you're
Okay,
in your
I'll show you
mandatory
really
time.
quick
Is it-
here,
Is it 10 every year after that?
because it actually, I had some of the
Maybe.
pictures in here.
No balance for me.
I don't think so, I think it's the same.
So like here's
Mark.
some of the stuff we were
Yes.
saying
Mark would
about the
know.
basement.
So
forgot.
like for our
It's an older
CEs,
house.
After
You
the 3
clearly
years.
see-
after your 3
You know, there
years,
is
you have to,
some
okay,
water
so you have
that
to do
is
30 hours of
penetrated.
CEs.
Doesn't mean that
Or
it's.
did they raise it to
continued,
40 though?
Right, they can do things design
For
the
new
exterior,
agents.
kind of help with
Okay.
that.
You have to do 20 hours
And
of
this is
post,
painted, which Laser
30
talked about,
hours
he hates
of
when people paint your
over 3
basement
years.
because all the
And
way
after
to
that-
the source and the problem still persists,
It's
so it
still
just changes
30
the
hours,
color of
my
the paint.
understanding.
Okay.
It's just
It's not like
changed.
it's
Like a space
waterproof.
kind.
For
Okay.
your first 3 years in real
Like
estate,
it's
your
house
core
paint.
classes, you have to go
Yeah,
to
something
2
like
classes.
this you see,
Yeah.
Once you've
you know,
already
is
completed
it-
your,
And it's 3 for each one, so it's not
completely
indoors.
it's 9 total.
that horizontal line.
Once you finish your 3 years and then you start your fourth year and all that, and fifth year,
That's right.
They may be willing
Then
to
what?
say, well, we're gonna
if
pay
you're 30 again every 3 years,
$7,000.
oh, they just
It's
keep
not
doing,
like 3, it's just.
they just keep doing, it keeps repeating the
It's
third.
kind of depends. You're paying
I'm not at my-
And the
$50,000
nine credits
maybe
of
not.
the
Of
course.
the
Yeah.
core
Yeah.
classes, which is
Yeah, I
your
redid
housing.
my driveway.
Yeah.
This
You know,
is
just
what
give you
we're
Long.
some idea of what
Yeah, and I had to go to
driveway
Hondros for mine, and then like
We had
after I
stuff
did
cracked
mine there,
about
like a month
2
later, they were like,
blocks
oh, you
down.
can do it online, and I'm like, oh.
Yeah, they
That
just, well,
Betty,
house
Betty was like,
is
Sophie, you
is a
just did
problem.
yours. I'm like,
Sometimes
I
it's
know.
I'm gonna tell
You
you,
know, the
the
exterior,
second
maybe
time
you get an
around,
idea of
no,
what's going
now I
on.
can do
I
my
started
driveway,
classes
you know,
online if I have to.
This,
Yeah.
Go
And
to
so-
Kimball.
I went to
House I
some
was
class
in,
in
so much on the wall, it
the,
was just water.
live
Something's
class,
coming in, so
you sit in
notice
class,
cracks or
and then they give you
anything
your
on the
cert.
floor?
When you're online,
The cousins all want to show up at the inspection.
Aiden.
From an inspector standpoint, what can you tell us that we can tell them to keep that parade of people out of the inspection?
We always try to gear it towards the client's best interest. Because I'll get a call and say, okay, yeah, it's at 3. Oh, good, because my dad was going to come with my uncle. And I'll say, hey, this is your inspection. We want you to feel comfortable, but we also want you to get all of the information without any distractions. So we'll have the inspector there, your real estate agent, and yourself. That's generally the best way we can keep it condensed in our 3-hour time frame. You can focus on all of the information we're giving you, and there's not additional input. It's just the inspector and his professional opinion. We'll say things like that, hoping they pick up that don't bring dad and uncle. We do understand that, you know, if it's a first-time home buyer, a younger person, their dad, you know, has been helping them throughout the process, it's tough for them not to bring someone. You know, they want an okay from the person who heard it as well. So we get that, but when they start bringing 2 and 3 people, it's very distracting for everyone. It really is. And then now you're talking, your inspection is 3.5 hours because you had to, you know, talk to an additional person. They have questions.
So this is what I've done, I'm kind of teaching them to do as well. Is the person that's buying the house should be there for the inspection so that you have 100% focus and attention on the inspection itself. You'll get a report afterwards that you're welcome to share with anybody that you like. If you were doing your job, if you're a nail technician and the person getting their nails done is sitting there and there's 3 people standing over you while you're doing those nails, how's that going to feel? We want to make sure that the inspector feels comfortable and is clear and not distracted so that you get a better quality inspection.
That's perfect.
We can review everything afterwards because you're going to get a very full, conclusive printout. But please, yourself, and then if I still get pushed back, I would say, well, how would you like to open your house up and not know if somebody brought their kids and they're spilling Kool-Aid on the carpet? And like, that's not how this is supposed to go. And I
Right.
try to get in front of it right away, just because I unfortunately got stung at an inspection where there was like crying and people were mad and like people storming out
Yeah.
and there was way too many people there and I was
Blaze
like,
had
yeah,
one
never again.
where the kids were coming in front of him, like in the vanity, moving stuff around. He couldn't see, like he had to wait for them to stop playing with the shampoo, conditioner, and box of tampons. I'm like, you know?
So for the newer
So,
agents,
you know,
this-
that kind of stuff, yes, definitely. For you guys, for the client, for the inspector, it is best. Obviously, we never want a client to feel like we're telling them, no, you can't have support. But a dad, you know, your uncle who's been with you through the process, that's a different story than mom, dad, and your sister or your brother.
You know, and I'm thinking of this too, like different ways to handle these objections. Perhaps if they are so dead set on doing it, then maybe your plan B would be, well, how about if you just come for the last half hour or 45 minutes when they're briefing us on what they found? Then this way the inspector can do his job, and now he's going to have conclusions to his inspection that maybe you might want to listen in on. Like, I like that idea better because you will have a protective dad that will go, that's going to crack, it's going to fall on your head, it's going to kill you, and we're going to have to pay for a funeral, you're not buying this house. Like, come on, like seriously. You
Is
say
there any
something?
way that you, I mean, is it too much just to say for the sake of the inspection, we ask that you bring no more than one person with you?
I think
Can't
it's
say that?
put up and that agent never shows up. Bad idea. Don't recommend it. Don't do it. Like if you wanna stretch the rules out, like get there, get it open, run out and get some coffee, drop off a contract, whatever it is, like, but don't be gone longer than an hour and then come back and be there for the rest of it. Is there anything that I needed? Did you have any questions? No? Okay, good. You plant yourself in the corner and lead generator or whatever you're gonna do. But present, not a participant. Because that inspection is between the inspector and the client. If you get your hands in it and start giving your opinion, you're gonna get that you told me to, wrong, wrong, wrong. No, that's between the two of you. So it's tricky and we'll guide you through it, so there's nothing to be concerned with. But it'll help to bulletproof it to some degree as well.
And honestly, if you're in a vacant house, man, if you're gonna be there for 3 hours, bring a chair with you. Have a beach chair or something in your car, because otherwise you're standing there for 3 hours.
Yeah, there's no place to sit. Yeah, that's, you know, and there was an inspection I sat through where they had the heat on at 50 degrees, just so the pipes wouldn't freeze, and it was freezing in there for 4 hours. Like,
You know, we just had who was it that? We just had an inspection.
Inspections, you
And-
can test the heat. I put the heat on first.
Well, so this is what happened. Lay's had an inspection at a condo, it was a 4-unit condo. So ultimately, they took apartments and flipped them, and now they're selling them as condos. He had an inspection, gave us the unit number. He went in. It was scorching hot, so he turned down the heat a smidge. I mean, you know, Lay's, he has common sense. He turned it down a smidge to, you know, I think it was. He said he put it down to like, I don't know, 69 or 67 or something. Vacant condo. He went down to the boiler room, looked around, checked out the boiler. It was part of HOA, so he really didn't have to do that, but he just wanted to include like the condition and make note. So we get an email like 2 days later from the agent, and she's like, hey, the listing agent said that they were upset because the inspector turned on the heat so badly that they were getting calls, flooding, you know, the property manager saying that it was freezing cold. And Lazy's like, well, I turned down the heat, I did, I'll admit that. He was like, but there was no sign or indication that I was turning down the master thermostat. So I didn't know that I was gonna affect 3 other units. Same thing in the boiler. And the listing, or our agent said that's exactly what I told them. So be aware that we do not know what's going on with the home unless we're either told or there's a note. You know, he would have had no way to know that that's the master thermostat. There was no indication.
I've been with Lay's though, where he's touched the temperature, but when he was done, he's put
puts
it
it
right
back.
back to
Yeah,
where it
right.
was.
But he turned this down just because he's thinking it's a vacant home. Why is the heat on like 79? It's scorching in here.
But it was
He
heating
had-
other built.
But it was heating everyone. So.
But there was no way to know
But
that
that was,
going in
right,
there.
that was our thing, is that there was no way to know that that was the master. So, you know, we have clients who, you know, get upset about certain things, or an agent gets upset about certain things, but we don't know unless there's a
It was
sign or
almost like
we're
it was a
told.
landlord's home and he controlled the temperature for everybody there.
But this is actually the property that's going to be sold, so I don't know how they're gonna do that. If you have a master, what if something
Yeah.
goes wrong? You have to have the
We'll have to
repair guy in your house?
rewire it, I guess,
well,
right?
and on that same topic, not to go too far out, but like, if your client comes at you upset, conflict resolution based. Like, don't feed it. I can't believe that, that's terrible, like, I'm gonna call that agent and rip their head off. Like, yeah, that's cavalier, but it's not constructive. It's not constructive at all. So if somebody does that, say, really sorry that happened, let me get in front of it and like put the fire out. Don't feed it. Because I had a Colebrook do that too. Like, this woman freaked out, and I was like, okay, so when you can talk to me like an adult and a professional, we'll revisit. But right now is not a good time.
And I will say this, because you guys may not come across this as often, some other agents may know, when it comes to a winterized home, we're very limited on what we can do at an inspection. Almost to the point where there would be no point to have it. We would not say no, but we would tell our clients, there's a very long list of restrictions. We cannot check plumbing, we cannot check electrical, we cannot check the toilets and the water flow, we cannot check if the ceiling fans, if the light switches, if the furnace or the AC works. We can't check any of that. So we would be identifying that the furnace is intact and the
Water
condition
tank,
of it.
It's not leaking.
We can tell if there's no flooding going on by the hot water tank. We, because it's clear, but we don't know what would happen